The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council stretched across 3 kilometers of empty space. Inside, 12 different alien species sat around a circular table that glowed with soft blue light. Today was survey day and they had many worlds to review. Overseer Vextar looked like a walking mountain of purple crystal. His body sparkled as he moved, and when he spoke his voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. He picked up a small data tablet and read the information on it. Next world for review, he announced to the council. Planet designation Earth. Solar system with 1 star. 3rd planet from that star. The other council members barely looked up from their own work. Survey day was boring. Most planets they found were either empty rocks or had simple life forms like bacteria. Very few had thinking creatures, and even fewer had creatures smart enough to build things. What level of development do they show? Asked Xylith. She was from the water world of Aqua Prime. Her skin was blue-green and always looked wet. Gills on her neck opened and closed as she breathed the special air mixture in the council chamber. Vextar read from his tablet. They have discovered fire. They use metal tools. They have basic machines powered by burning fossil fuels. They also split atoms for energy, though they are very crude at it. Sounds like level 2 development, said Dr. Methak. He looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and large black eyes. Primitive, but showing some promise. Vextar continued reading. They have sent simple machines into space around their world. They have been to their moon 12 times, but only with chemical rockets. Very inefficient. Several council members made sounds that meant they were not impressed. Chemical rockets were what most species used when they first tried to leave their worlds. It was like using a wooden club when better weapons existed. What about their social structure? Asked Counselor Threen. She was tall and thin with gray skin and no hair. Her people, the Nethans, valued order above all things. Completely fractured, Vextar replied, shaking his crystal head. They have over 190 separate governments on 1 small planet. They fight wars with each other constantly. They cannot agree on simple things like how to measure distance or what calendar to use. The council members looked at each other. This was typical for primitive worlds. Most young species fought among themselves before they learned to work together. It usually took thousands of years for a species to unite their world. They probably killed themselves already, muttered Grix, a large bear-like creature with 4 eyes. Level 2 species do that sometimes. They discover nuclear weapons and destroy their own planet. No, they are still alive, Vextar said. Our long-range scans show their cities are growing. Their population is increasing, but they are still fighting small wars in different places. Dr. Methak tapped his tablet with one of his 4 hands. I would like to study them. Violent level 2 species are interesting from a research perspective. We could learn how primitive minds handle conflict. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Kim Ji-won sat in her small office at the Korea Advanced Space Research Center outside Seoul. She was 32 years old, with long black hair that she kept tied back while working. Her desk was covered with papers showing radio wave patterns from space. For 3 months, she had been detecting strange signals. They were not like anything natural. Stars and planets made radio noise, but it was random. These signals had patterns. They repeated in ways that seemed intentional. Her colleague, Park Min-ho, walked into her office carrying 2 cups of coffee. He was a few years older than Ji-won and worked as the center's chief engineer. He had built most of the radio equipment they used to listen to space. Still looking at those weird signals? He asked, setting 1 coffee cup on her desk. They are not weird, Ji-won replied, taking a sip of the hot coffee. They are artificial. Something intelligent is making them. Min-ho sat down in the chair across from her desk. You know what the director will say. He thinks you are imagining patterns that are not really there. Ji-won turned her computer screen so Min-ho could see it. The screen showed waves of different colors representing radio signals. Some waves were smooth and random, like the kind that came from stars, but others had sharp edges and repeated patterns. Look at this, she said, pointing to a section of the display. This pattern repeats every 4.7 hours. Exactly 4.7 hours. Natural sources do not do that. Min-ho studied the screen for several minutes. He was good with machines and understood how they worked, but he was not as good with math and patterns as Ji-won was. Maybe it is a pulsar, he suggested. Those spinning stars can make regular signals. I checked all known pulsars in that direction, Ji-won replied. There are none. And pulsars make signals that last milliseconds. These last for several minutes at a time. 300 kilometers above Earth, Captain Lee Soo-young floated inside the International Space Station. She was the first Korean woman to command a space mission. At 40 years old, she had been an astronaut for 15 years. Today, she was doing maintenance on one of the station's communication arrays. The work was routine, but she enjoyed floating in space while Earth turned slowly below her. She could see the lights of Seoul and other cities through the station windows. As she worked, her tools detected something unusual. The communication equipment was picking up signals that were not supposed to be there. The signals were very weak, but they had a structure that seemed deliberate. "Ground control, this is Station Commander Lee," she said into her radio. "I am getting some strange interference on the communication array." "Copy that, Commander Lee," came the reply from Mission Control in Houston. "Can you describe the interference?" Soo-young looked at her instruments. The signals appeared and disappeared in patterns. They were too regular to be equipment failure, and too structured to be natural noise from space. "It looks like someone is trying to communicate," she said, "but the signals are not coming from Earth." Back in the Crystal Council chamber, Overseer Vextar was finishing his report on Earth. "Based on all observations, I recommend standard classification," he announced. "Level 2 primitive warlike species. Standard observation protocol with 500-year non-interference period." The other council members nodded agreement. This was normal procedure. They would place a few monitoring satellites around Earth and check back in 5 centuries. By then, the humans would either be dead from war or pollution, or they might have advanced enough to be worth talking to. "All in favor?" Vexter asked. 12 crystalline hands, tentacles, claws, and other appendages rose in agreement. "Motion passed," Vextar declared. "Earth is classified as Level 2 primitive." Next item on the agenda. The council moved on to discuss other planets. They spent more time talking about a world where intelligent plants grew in interesting patterns than they had spent on Earth. In their long experience, primitive species either destroyed themselves or took thousands of years to become advanced. There was no reason to think Earth would be different. None of them noticed that their long-range scanners had missed something important. While they counted Earth's wars and primitive rockets, they had failed to detect the global network of scientists who shared information instantly across the planet. They had not seen the cooperation between nations in building space stations and conducting research. Most importantly, they had not realized that humanity's constant conflicts had made them very good at solving problems quickly and adapting to new situations, skills that might prove useful very soon. The council finished their meeting and prepared to send automated probes to begin monitoring Earth. They expected nothing interesting to happen for at least 500 years. They were about to discover how wrong they were. The council probe looked like a silver egg the size of a school bus. It had been traveling through space for 3 months, heading toward Earth to begin monitoring the primitive humans. Inside the probe, thousands of small machines worked quietly, preparing surveillance equipment and communication devices. But something went wrong. A small piece of space rock, no bigger than a marble, hit the probe at incredible speed. The impact was tiny, but it damaged one critical circuit. The probe's navigation system began giving wrong directions. Instead of stopping in orbit around Earth, the probe kept flying straight toward the planet's surface. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo was camping in the mountains near Seoul when he saw a bright light streak across the morning sky. He was a geologist who studied rocks and minerals, and he often went into the mountains to collect samples. He had been awake early, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise. The light was too bright to be a normal meteor. It moved too slowly and left a strange blue trail in the sky. Hyun-woo grabbed his binoculars and watched as the object crashed into a valley about 5 kilometers away. That was not natural, he said to himself. Hyun-woo packed his camping gear quickly and hiked toward the crash site. The terrain was rough with steep hills and thick trees, but he was used to walking in difficult places. It took him 2 hours to reach the valley where the object had landed. What he found made him stop and stare in amazement. The silver object had crashed into the rocky ground, creating a crater about 10 meters wide. But the object itself was undamaged. It sat in the center of the crater, perfectly smooth and oval-shaped. Strange symbols glowed softly on its surface, pulsing with blue and green light. Hyun-woo approached carefully. The object was warm but not hot. When he touched it, the symbols became brighter. A section of the smooth surface suddenly opened like a door, revealing complex machinery inside. "This is definitely not human technology," he whispered. Hyunwoo immediately called his colleague Professor Yoon Ji-soo at Seoul National University. Ji-soo was a linguistics professor who studied how languages worked and evolved. She was also one of the few people who would believe Hyunwoo's story without laughing at him. "Ji-soo, you need to come to the mountains immediately," he said into his satellite phone, "and bring Dr. Kang Tae-hyun with you. We have a situation." Dr. Kang Tae-hyun was a quantum physicist who worked at the same university. He studied the smallest parts of matter and energy, things so tiny that normal rules of physics did not always apply. He was known for his wild theories about space travel and communication. 3 hours later, all three scientists stood around the crashed probe. Professor Yoon Ji-soo was examining the glowing symbols with a magnifying glass. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun had brought several electronic instruments and was scanning the object for radiation and energy. "Patterns, the symbols look like a writing system," Ji-soo said. "But they change. Watch this symbol here. It was shaped like a circle before, but now it looks like a triangle." "The energy readings are incredible," Tae-hyun added, looking at his instruments. "This thing is generating power using principles I have never seen before. It is not nuclear, not chemical, not solar. It is something completely different." Inside the probe, damaged circuits were trying to complete their mission. The probe was supposed to hide in Earth's orbit and watch humans secretly. But with its navigation broken, it began following emergency procedures instead. The probe sent out a distress signal. The signal traveled faster than light across the galaxy, reaching the Galactic Council in just a few minutes. Alarms began ringing in the Crystal Council chamber. "Emergency report from Survey Probe 7741, announced the Council's computer system. "Probe has crashed on target planet. Emergency protocols activated. Local species has made contact with probe technology." Overseer Vextar's crystal body flashed bright red, which meant he was very upset. "The probe crashed? How is that possible?" "Our technology does not malfunction. Space debris impact," the computer replied. Probability was calculated at 0.003%. "The probe's emergency beacon is now active." The council members looked at each other with concern. This was a serious problem. Their laws said they could not let primitive species discover advanced technology. If the humans found the probe, they might learn things they were not ready to know. "We have to retrieve it immediately," said Councillor Threen. "If the primitives study our technology, it could accelerate their development unpredictably, or it could destroy them," added Dr. Methak. "Level 2 species often kill themselves when they find technology they cannot understand, Ambassador." Xylith stood up from her water-filled chair. "I will go personally. We need to make direct contact and explain the situation. Maybe we can convince them to return the probe." Vextar did not like this idea. Direct contact with a level 2 species is against standard procedure. "We should wait the full 500 years. "The situation has changed," Xylith replied. "Emergency protocols allow direct contact when our technology is compromised." While the council debated what to do, the three Korean scientists continued, studying the probe. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun had discovered that the object was somehow connected to a network of similar devices spread across the galaxy. "It is like a cosmic internet," he explained to the others. "This device can communicate instantly with other devices billions of kilometers away. That should be impossible according to our physics." Professor Yoon Ji-soo had made progress with the symbols. "I think I understand part of their language system. These symbols represent mathematical concepts, not words. Look, this pattern keeps appearing, and I think it means emergency or help needed." Dr. Choi Hyunwoo was studying the probe's construction. The materials were unlike anything on Earth. They were stronger than steel but lighter than aluminum. The surface was perfectly smooth with no visible joints or welding marks. "Whoever built this has manufacturing abilities far beyond ours," he said. "But the design principles make sense. I can see how some of these systems work." 2 days after the crash, Ambassador Xylith's ship appeared in Earth's sky. The ship was beautiful, shaped like a giant seashell with colors that shifted from blue to green to silver. It was about the size of a football stadium but moved through the air as quietly as a cloud. The ship appeared first over Seoul, then over New York, London, Moscow, and Beijing. Millions of people saw it and began taking pictures and videos. Within hours, the images were spreading across the internet. World governments went into emergency meetings. Military leaders prepared for possible invasion. Scientists around the world started analyzing the videos and photos, trying to understand what they were seeing. Dr. Kim Ji-won was still at her research center when the alien ship appeared over Seoul. She ran outside and watched it hover silently in the sky above the city. Her radio equipment immediately started detecting new signals, much stronger than the weak ones she had been studying for months. "Park Min-ho," she called to her colleague. "Come outside. We were right. There really is intelligent life out there." Min-ho joined her in the parking lot. Dozens of other people had also come outside to stare at the impossible sight above them. The ship was so large it blocked out part of the sky. "I guess this proves your theory about the signals," he said quietly. Inside the alien ship, Ambassador Zaleth was preparing for humanity's first official contact with an advanced galactic civilization. She had studied the probe's recordings of human behavior and culture. She had read Dr. Mithak's reports about primitive Level 2 species. Based on everything she knew, she expected the humans to be frightened and confused. They would probably worship her as a god, or beg for advanced technology they could not understand. This was typical behavior for primitive species during first contact. She prepared a standard speech that the Council used for all new species. It explained humanity's place in the galaxy and offered them a simple choice: accept guidance from the Council, or be left alone for another 500 years. Zaleth was confident this would be an easy diplomatic mission. She would retrieve the crashed probe, give the humans a brief explanation about the galaxy, and return to the Council with a routine report. She had no idea that she was about to meet a species that would challenge everything the Galactic Council believed about intelligence, technology, and civilization. The ship began broadcasting a message in multiple human languages. "People of Earth, we come in peace. We wish to speak with your leaders. We will meet at your United Nations building in New York in 24 hours. The countdown to first contact had begun. The United Nations building in New York had never seen anything like this. Representatives from every country on Earth sat in the General Assembly Hall, waiting for humanity's first meeting with an alien civilization. Security forces surrounded the building, and news crews from around the world broadcast live to billions of viewers. Ambassador Zaleth entered the hall through the main doors, walking on two legs like a human but moving with fluid grace that seemed unnatural. Her blue-green skin glistened under the bright lights, and her large eyes reflected the faces of the humans staring at her. She was 3 meters tall and wore robes that seemed to be made of flowing water. She walked to the podium at the front of the assembly hall. A small device attached to her throat translated her words into multiple human languages simultaneously. "People of Earth," she began, her voice carrying easily through the large room. "I am Ambassador Zaleth of the Galactic Council. We represent 12 advanced civilizations that have existed for thousands of your years." The assembly hall was completely silent. Even the news reporters stopped whispering. "Your world has been observed and evaluated according to standard galactic protocols. You have been classified as a Level 2 primitive species with significant potential for development." Several world leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The word primitive did not sound like a compliment. Zaleth continued with her prepared speech. "We offer your species membership in galactic civilization under Category 7 status. This means supervised development with our guidance and protection." She activated a holographic display that showed images of other worlds in the galaxy. Beautiful cities floated in the clouds of gas giant planets. Space stations the size of moons orbited distant stars. Ships that looked like living creatures traveled between solar systems. "Under our guidance, your species could eventually achieve such wonders," Zaleth said. "However, this process requires patience and obedience. Category 7 species provide raw materials and basic labor, while learning advanced concepts gradually over many centuries." The Secretary General of the United Nations, Maria Santos, stood up from her seat. "Ambassador Zaleth, what exactly would this arrangement involve for humanity?" "Your world contains many useful resources," Zaleth replied. "Rare metals, organic compounds, and abundant water. You would extract and process these materials for use throughout the galaxy. In return, we would share basic technologies and protect you from the dangers of uncontrolled development." Dr. Kim Ji-won sat in the gallery with other scientific advisors. She had been invited because of her work detecting alien signals. As she listened to the ambassador's words, she felt growing anger. The aliens were offering humanity the position of servants, not partners. What if we refuse this offer? asked the representative from Brazil. Xylith's expression did not change. Then you would continue your current path of development. We would return in 500 of your years to make the offer again. By then, you may have advanced enough to qualify for Category 6 status, which offers slightly more autonomy. 500 years? Said the representative from Japan. That is 20 generations of human life. Time passes differently for advanced species, Xylith replied. We think in terms of millennia, not decades. Your species is very young and thinks only of immediate needs. This is typical for Level 2 civilizations. Meanwhile, back in Korea, Dr. Choi Hyunwoo and his team were making remarkable discoveries about the crashed probe. They had set up a temporary laboratory in a tent near the crash site, using equipment borrowed from 3 different universities. Professor Yoon Ji-soo had made a breakthrough with the alien writing system. The symbols are not just language, she explained to her colleagues. They are mathematical equations that describe the meaning directly. Instead of using words to represent ideas, they use formulas. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun was studying the probe's power system. This is incredible, he said, looking at his instruments. They are extracting energy directly from empty space itself. Our physics says this should be impossible, but here it is working. Hyunwoo was examining the probe's construction with an electron microscope. The materials are made of normal elements, just arranged in ways we have never seen before. Carbon, silicon, metals we recognize, but structured at the atomic level with perfect precision. What the Korean scientists were discovering contradicted everything Ambassador Xylith believed about primitive species. Humans were not just copying alien technology. They were understanding it and even improving upon it. Back at the United Nations, the meeting was becoming tense. World leaders were asking difficult questions that Xylith had not expected from a primitive species. You say we are primitive, said the representative from Germany, but we have sent machines to other planets in our solar system. We have space stations where humans live and work. We have global communication networks that connect every person on our planet instantly. Yes, Xylith replied with what sounded like patience. These are impressive achievements for a Level 2 species. However, you still use chemical rockets for space travel. You have not discovered faster-than-light travel or communication. You fight wars among yourselves instead of working together. These are clear signs of primitive development. Dr. Kim Ji-won raised her hand and was given permission to speak. Ambassador Xylith, you mentioned faster-than-light communication. We have been detecting signals from space for months that seem to use quantum entanglement for instant transmission across vast distances. Are these from your civilization? Xylith looked surprised. You detected our quantum communications? That should not be possible with primitive equipment. Our equipment is more advanced than you might think, Ji-won replied, and we have some theories about how your communication system works. We believe it uses paired particles that remain connected regardless of distance. Several other scientists in the gallery began murmuring excitedly. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun had published papers about quantum entanglement, but most people thought his ideas were too theoretical to be practical. Xylith regained her composure. Understanding theory and building working technology are very different things. It will be many centuries before your species can create such devices. Actually, said the representative from India, our scientists have been sharing information about your crashed probe through our global networks. Teams in 12 countries are already studying the technology and making progress understanding how it works. This information troubled Xylith more than she wanted to admit. Most primitive species were too disorganized to coordinate such research. They usually fought over alien technology instead of sharing it. You have 1 Earth year to consider our offer, Xylith announced, trying to regain control of the meeting. During this time, we will establish a monitoring station on your moon to observe your development and answer basic questions about galactic civilization. What if we have questions before then? Asked the Secretary General. Our monitoring team will be led by Dr. Methak, a renowned expert on primitive species behavior. He has studied dozens of Level 2 civilizations and will provide guidance appropriate to your developmental level. After the meeting ended, Xylith returned to her ship feeling confused. The humans had asked more intelligent questions than she expected. They seemed to understand complex concepts that should be beyond primitive minds. But this had to be just curiosity, not real comprehension. Within hours of her departure, something unprecedented began happening on Earth. Instead of governments fighting over the alien technology, Scientists from different countries started working together more closely than ever before. Dr. Kim Ji-won established secure communication links with physicists in America, Europe, and Australia. They began sharing data about the alien signals and developing theories about how the technology worked. Park Min-ho coordinated with engineers around the world to design new equipment for studying the quantum effects they had observed. Manufacturing facilities in different countries began producing components for experimental devices. Captain Lee So-young was given command of a new international mission to study the alien monitoring station when it arrived at the moon. Her crew would include astronauts from 6 different countries, working together despite their government's political differences. The Galactic Council had made a critical error in their assessment of humanity. They saw the wars and conflicts on Earth's surface, but they missed the networks of cooperation that existed beneath the political chaos. They observed humanity's primitive rockets, but they failed to notice the global communication systems that allowed instant collaboration between the brightest minds on the planet. Most importantly, they underestimated humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt quickly to new challenges and find creative solutions to impossible problems. Dr. Methak arrived at the moon 3 weeks later, expecting to study typical primitive behavior. Instead, he would discover that Earth's primitive species was about to surprise the entire galaxy. Dr. Methak's research station looked like a giant metal spider sitting on the surface of the moon. Its 8 legs dug deep into the lunar soil, and dozens of sensors pointed toward Earth. Inside the station, Methak worked at his computer, writing reports about primitive human behavior. Day 45 of observation, he dictated to his recording device. The humans continue to display typical Level 2 characteristics. Multiple governments compete for resources. Small conflicts persist in various regions. Their technology remains crude and inefficient, but Methak was missing something important. His sensors were designed to detect military movements, industrial production, and government communications. They were not designed to notice the quiet revolution happening in laboratories and universities around the world. On Earth, Dr. Kim Ji-won stood in front of a wall covered with equations and diagrams. Her small office had been transformed into the coordination center for a global network of scientists. Screens showed live video feeds from research teams in 12 different countries. Team Tokyo, what is your status? She asked into her headset. We have successfully replicated the quantum entanglement effect, came the reply from Dr. Yamamoto. The particles remain connected across a distance of 50 kilometers. We are ready to test longer ranges. Excellent, Ji-won replied. Team Mumbai, how is your work on the power system progressing? Dr. Sharma's voice came through clearly from India. We have identified the energy source. It appears to extract power from quantum fluctuations in empty space. We estimate it is 10,000 times more efficient than nuclear fusion. Similar reports came in from teams around the world. In Germany, scientists had figured out how the alien materials were constructed at the atomic level. In Brazil, engineers had built a prototype communication device based on alien principles. In Australia, researchers had discovered that the alien navigation system used mathematics that human computers could actually improve upon. What made this cooperation remarkable was its speed. Instead of taking years to share research between countries, scientists were collaborating in real time. Language barriers disappeared as they used mathematics and scientific notation to communicate directly. Park Min-ho had become the network's chief engineer. He coordinated the building of new equipment in factories across 6 continents. The beauty of human manufacturing is our diversity, he explained to the other team leaders during their daily video conference. Each country has different strengths. Japan makes the best electronic components. Germany has precision manufacturing. America has advanced materials. When we combine all these capabilities, we can build things faster than anyone expects. Meanwhile, Professor Yoon Ji-soo had made a discovery that would have shocked the Galactic Council if they had known about it. She was working with linguists from around the world to decode more of the alien language systems. I have found something remarkable, she announced during one of their online meetings. The alien language structure is actually less efficient than human languages. They use mathematical precision, but they have lost the ability to express emotional concepts and creative ideas. Dr. Rodriguez from Mexico agreed. My analysis shows the same thing. Their language can describe technical information perfectly, but it cannot handle metaphor, poetry, or abstract thinking. It is like a computer language instead of a living language. This discovery led to an important realization. The aliens were very good at following rules and building consistent technology, but they might not be as good at innovation and creative problem-solving as humans were. Captain Lee Soo-young was leading the international crew that would soon travel to investigate the alien monitoring station. Her team included astronauts from Korea, America, Russia, Japan, Canada, and the European Space Agency. They were training together at a facility in Kazakhstan. "The aliens expect us to fight each other for their technology," she told her crew during a planning meeting. "Instead, we are going to show them what humans can accomplish when we work together." The crew had been studying the alien probe data for weeks. They had learned to operate some of the alien systems and had even improved upon the original designs. Korean engineer Kim Hyuk had figured out how to make the power system 15% more efficient. Russian physicist Dr. Volkov had discovered a way to make the communication system work faster. Dr. Choi Hyunwoo was still working at the original crash site, but now his tent laboratory had grown into a permanent research facility. Scientists from around the world came to study the probe in person. What they were learning changed everything they thought they knew about physics and engineering. "The aliens are not magic," Hyunwoo explained to a group of visiting researchers. "They just understand certain natural laws that we have not discovered yet. But once we understand those laws, we can use them too. And in some cases, we can use them better than the aliens do." The biggest breakthrough came when Dr. Kang Tae-hyun successfully built the first human quantum communication device. It was crude compared to alien technology, but it worked. More importantly, it worked using principles that improved upon the alien design. "The aliens use brute force methods," Tae-hyun explained to his international team. "They apply massive amounts of energy to achieve quantum effects. But human research into particle physics has shown us more elegant solutions. We can achieve the same results using much less energy." The first test of human quantum communication was scheduled for exactly 6 months after first contact. Teams in Seoul and New York would attempt to send messages instantly across the planet using quantum entanglement. Dr. Mathak, watching from his moon station, noticed unusual energy readings from Earth but dismissed them as primitive experiments that would probably fail. His reports to the Galactic Council described humanity as slowly attempting to understand concepts far beyond their capabilities. On the day of the test, Ji-won stood in her laboratory in Seoul while her colleague Dr. Johnson waited in New York. Between them, 11,000 kilometers of Earth's surface curved away into the distance. Beginning quantum entanglement sequence, Ji-won announced. The device hummed quietly as it aligned quantum particles in both locations. According to alien technology, this should have required a power source the size of a building. The human version used a power source the size of a refrigerator. "Seoul to New York, do you receive?" Ji-won spoke into the communication device. "New York receiving perfectly," came Johnson's reply. "Zero delay, perfect clarity." The system is working, but the real surprise came next. Instead of just copying the alien method, the human system did something the aliens had never achieved. It could handle multiple conversations simultaneously and automatically encrypt all communications so they could not be intercepted. "This is better than alien technology," Johnson said, his excitement clear even through the quantum link. "We have not just matched their capabilities, we have exceeded them." News of the successful test spread through the global scientific network within hours. Research teams around the world began celebrating, but they also began working harder. If they could improve upon alien communication technology, what else could they achieve? Dr. Methak's sensors detected the energy burst from the quantum communication test, but his computer classified it as a failed experiment. The readings did not match expected patterns for successful alien technology, so the system assumed the humans had made a mistake. In his report that day, Methak wrote, "Humans attempted large-scale technology demonstration. Energy readings suggest catastrophic failure. This confirms their inability to properly utilize advanced concepts." He sent the report to the Galactic Council, confident that it proved his theories about primitive species behavior. The Council read his report and nodded in agreement. Everything was proceeding exactly as they expected. None of them realized that humanity had just achieved something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. In 6 months, humans had gone from discovering alien technology to improving upon it. They had built global cooperation networks that surpassed anything the rigid council civilizations had ever created. Most importantly, they had proven that intelligence was not about how long a species had existed or how perfectly they could follow rules. Intelligence was about creativity, adaptation, and the willingness to imagine new possibilities. The Galactic Council was about to learn that their primitive species had evolved capabilities that made their ancient civilizations look outdated by comparison. The one-year deadline was approaching fast. In 3 days, Ambassador Xylith would return to Earth expecting humanity's answer to the Galactic Council's offer. She was confident that humans would accept Category 7 status. All primitive species eventually realized they needed guidance from advanced civilizations, but humanity had a surprise planned. Dr. Kim Ji-won stood on the bridge of the first human-built faster-than-light ship. The vessel looked different from alien designs. Where alien ships were smooth and organic, the human ship had sharp angles and geometric patterns. It was smaller than most alien vessels but radiated an energy that made space itself seem to bend around it. All systems ready for departure, reported Park Min-ho from the engineering station. He had designed the ship's propulsion system using principles learned from the alien probe, but improved with human innovations. Navigation confirmed, added Captain Lee Soo-young. We will arrive at the Council monitoring station in 47 minutes. The ship carried a delegation of 12 humans representing different countries and scientific disciplines. They had spent the entire year preparing for this moment. Instead of begging for alien technology, they were going to demonstrate human capabilities. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo checked his geological scanning equipment one final time. Professor Yoon Ji-soo reviewed her translation programs, which could now communicate in alien languages better than the aliens themselves. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun monitored the quantum systems that made their journey possible. Beginning faster than light travel, announced. Soo-young's space twisted around the ship as it entered hyperspace. The journey that should have taken months with chemical rockets was completed in less than an hour. When they emerged near the moon, Dr. Methak's sensors immediately detected their arrival. Methak stared at his instruments in shock. The readings made no sense. A ship had just appeared near his station using faster-than-light travel, but it was not an alien design. The energy signature was completely unknown. Unknown vessel. Identify yourself, he transmitted on standard galactic frequencies. This is the Earth ship New Horizon, came the reply in perfect galactic standard language. We request permission to dock with your station. Earth ship? Methak's forearms moved frantically over his control panels. That is impossible. Primitive species do not have faster-than-light capability. We would like to discuss that assumption with you, replied the calm voice from the human ship. Methak had no choice but to allow the humans to dock. His station was designed for research, not defense. As the airlock opened, he prepared to meet what he assumed would be primitive aliens who had somehow stolen advanced technology. Dr. Kim Ji-won entered the alien station first, followed by her team. They wore simple white uniforms that looked professional but not threatening. Methak was surprised by how calm and confident they appeared. Dr. Methak, Ji-won said, speaking perfect galactic standard, we have come to present new information about humanity's capabilities. How do you know my name? Methak asked, his insect-like head tilting in confusion. We have been monitoring your transmissions, replied Professor Yoon Ji-soo. Your communication protocols are quite easy to decode once you understand the mathematical patterns. This statement shocked Methak. Galactic communication systems used encryption that should take primitive computers thousands of years to break. We have also been analyzing your research reports, added Dr. Choi Hyun-woo. We found several errors in your conclusions about human behavior and capabilities. Methak's 4 eyes focused on the humans with growing alarm. What do you mean, errors? Dr. Kang Tae-hyun stepped forward carrying a small device. You reported that our quantum communication test was a failure. In fact, it was completely successful. This device contains recordings of our quantum transmissions over the past 6 months. He activated the device, which projected a holographic display showing communication logs from all over Earth. The data proved that humans had been using quantum communication networks for months, coordinating research and sharing information instantly across the planet. This is impossible, Methak whispered. Your species was classified as level 2 primitive. You should not be capable of quantum communication for at least 300 years. Your classification system appears to have some flaws, Ji-won replied politely. We have identified several areas where human approaches to technology actually surpass galactic standards. Park Min-ho activated a portable holographic projector. The display showed detailed plans for human improvements to alien technology. Power systems that were 20% more efficient, navigation computers that calculated faster routes through hyperspace, communication devices that could handle 10 times more data. We have also discovered inefficiencies in galactic infrastructure, added Hyunwoo. Your mining operations, city planning, and resource distribution systems could all be improved using human organizational methods. Methak's confidence was crumbling. Everything he believed about primitive species was being challenged by the evidence in front of him. These humans were not copying alien technology. They were improving it. Perhaps most interesting, said Professor Yoon Jisoo, is our analysis of galactic languages and culture. Your communication systems have become very rigid over thousands of years. They can express technical information precisely, but they have lost the ability to handle creative concepts and emotional intelligence. She activated another display, showing comparative language analysis. Human languages could express ideas that galactic languages could not even attempt to translate. This explains why your civilizations have become technologically stagnant, Jisoo continued. You can maintain existing technology very well, but you have difficulty innovating new solutions to problems. Captain Lee Soo-young stepped forward. Dr. Methak, we did not come here to mock your civilization or prove our superiority. We came to offer partnership. Partnership? Methak repeated the word as if he had never heard it before. Yes, Soo-young replied. Instead of the Council's offer of supervised development, we propose mutual cooperation. Humans can contribute our innovation and creative problem-solving abilities. Galactic civilizations can share their knowledge and experience. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun activated one final display. It showed plans for joint research projects that could benefit all galactic species, medical technologies that combined alien knowledge with human creativity, engineering projects that used galactic resources with human efficiency, exploration missions that paired alien experience with human adaptability. The galaxy faces many challenges, Kang explained. Energy shortages on older worlds, communication delays across vast distances, resource conflicts between different species. Human approaches could help solve these problems. Methak looked at the displays surrounding him. Every assumption he had made about primitive species was wrong. These humans had not just matched galactic technology in 1 year. They had identified ways to improve upon civilizations that had existed for thousands of years. I must contact the Council immediately, he said, reaching for his communication controls. Of course, Ji-won replied. We would like to present this information to the full Council. We believe they will find our proposals very interesting. As Methak began transmitting emergency messages to the Galactic Council, the humans prepared for the most important presentation in the history of both civilizations. They had proven that intelligence was not about age or following ancient rules. It was about the willingness to question assumptions, find creative solutions, and work together toward common goals. The Council had expected to meet with primitive supplicants begging for guidance. Instead, they were about to face partners who could teach them new ways to think about the universe itself. Ambassador Xylith received Methak's transmission while traveling back to Earth. As she read his report, her blue-green skin turned pale with shock. According to Methak, the primitive humans had somehow developed technology that surpassed galactic standards. This must be some kind of mistake, she said to herself. But as she studied the data Methak had transmitted, she realized that everything the Council believed about primitive species was about to change forever. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in their 10,000-year history. All 12 member species had gathered in their crystal chamber. But instead of the usual calm discussions, the room buzzed with panicked conversations in dozens of different languages. Overseer Vextar's crystalline body was flashing rapid colors from deep red to bright orange, showing extreme stress. He had called this meeting after receiving Dr. Methak's shocking report about human capabilities. Order. Order in the chamber. Vexitar's voice rang like breaking glass. We must address this crisis immediately. Ambassador Xylith stood at the center of the chamber, her blue-green skin now pale with worry. She had just returned from Earth orbit, where she had seen the human ship with her own eyes. It was smaller than most galactic vessels, but its energy readings were unlike anything in their databases. "The situation is worse than Dr. Methak reported," she announced to the council. "The humans are not simply copying our technology. They have created entirely new approaches that our scientists do not understand." Dr. Methak's image appeared on the chamber's main display screen, broadcasting from his moon station. His forearms moved nervously as he spoke. "Honored council members, I must retract all my previous reports about human primitiveness. These beings have capabilities that do not fit any known classification system." Counselor Threen of the Nethans stood up, her tall gray form rigid with anger. "How is this possible? Our survey methods have been proven accurate for thousands of years. Level 2 species do not develop faster than light travel for at least 500 years. The humans are not following normal development patterns," Methak replied. "They appear to think in ways that our models cannot predict. Where we use proven methods, they create new solutions. Where we follow established procedures, they ignore rules entirely." The chamber erupted in worried discussions. Representative Grix, the bear-like delegate, growled his concerns. "If one primitive species can advance this quickly, what about others? Have we been wrong about every world we have surveyed?" "Worse than that," added Counselor Kelm from the gas giant Storms. "If the humans continue developing at this rate, they could surpass all of our civilizations within decades." This thought terrified the council members. Their entire social structure was based on age and technological advancement. The oldest civilizations led the galaxy, while newer species served as workers and resource providers. If a young species could outpace ancient ones, the entire system would collapse. "We must take immediate action," declared General Zarian, the military representative from the warrior planet Blade. "If the humans represent a threat to galactic stability, we should eliminate them before they become too powerful." Several council members made sounds of agreement, but Vextar raised one crystal hand for silence. Military action against the humans would be extremely dangerous. "Dr. Methak, show them your analysis of human defensive capabilities." Methak activated new displays showing his calculations. Based on their technological advancement rate, any military action would likely fail. The humans have already demonstrated the ability to improve our technology within months. If we attack them, they would probably develop superior weapons and defenses faster than we could deploy our forces. "Furthermore," added Xylith, "their ship design suggests they understand military applications we have never considered. Their vessel near Earth could probably outrun our fastest ships and outfight our strongest weapons." The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. They had always controlled the galaxy through superior technology. If the humans could surpass that technology, the council would have no way to maintain their dominance. "There must be another solution," said Dr. Quellen, the scientific advisor from the crystal world of Prism. "Perhaps we could offer them better terms. Advanced partnership instead of Category 7 status." "It may be too late for that," Xylith replied grimly. "The humans have made it clear they consider our original offer insulting. They are demanding to be treated as equals, not clients." "Equals?" Threen's voice rose in disbelief. "They have existed for barely 10,000 years. Our civilization is 100 times older. How can they be considered our equals?" Dr. Methak spoke up again from his moon station. "Honored counselors, age may not be as important as we believed. The humans have shown that rapid innovation can be more valuable than accumulated experience. Their young perspective allows them to see solutions that our ancient minds cannot imagine." This statement was almost heretical to the council. Their entire philosophy was based on the wisdom of age and the value of tradition. The idea that youth could be advantageous challenged everything they believed. "We need to understand what makes them so innovative," suggested Dr. Quellen. "If we could learn their methods, perhaps we could match their advancement rate." "I have studied this question extensively," Methak replied. "The humans succeed because they think differently from us. We value consistency and proven methods. They value creativity and experimentation. We avoid risk to maintain stability. They take risks to achieve progress. More importantly," he continued, "they cooperate in ways we do not. When we share technology, it is between governments and official institutions. When humans share technology, it is between individual scientists and researchers who ignore political boundaries." Counselor Breen from the ocean world of depths spoke up. You're saying their primitive political system actually gives them advantages over our advanced governance? Yes, Methak confirmed. Their lack of central control allows for rapid innovation. Their competitive nature drives them to find better solutions. Their emotional thinking helps them make creative connections that pure logic cannot achieve. The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. Everything that made their civilization stable and orderly was apparently holding them back compared to human chaos and creativity. What do the humans want from us? Asked Vextar finally. Xylith activated a recording of her conversation with the human. Delegation, Dr. Kim Ji-won's voice, filled the chamber as she explained humanity's terms for cooperation. We propose true partnership based on mutual respect and shared benefits. Human innovation combined with galactic experience could solve problems that neither of us could handle alone. We offer to share our technological improvements freely, but we will not accept a subordinate position in galactic civilization. They also demand changes to the classification system, Xylith added. They want species to be judged by their contributions and capabilities, not by their age or the time they have spent in space. This would revolutionize galactic society, whispered Dr. Quellen. Species that we consider primitive might actually be more advanced than us in some areas. Exactly, Xylith confirmed. The humans have already identified several young species that our scouts dismissed as worthless. According to human analysis, these species have potential abilities that could benefit the entire galaxy. General Zerion stood up angrily. This is unacceptable. We cannot allow a primitive species to dictate terms to civilizations that ruled the galaxy before their star was born. Then what do you suggest? Vextar asked. Military action appears impossible. Economic pressure would be meaningless to a species that can create superior technology. Isolation would only give them time to advance further beyond our capabilities. The chamber fell silent again. For the first time in their history, the Galactic Council faced a problem they could not solve with their traditional methods. There is one other option, said Dr. Methak quietly. We could accept their proposal. Accept? Several council members spoke at once. Yes, Methak continued. We could form a true partnership with humanity. Learn from their methods while sharing our knowledge. Adapt our rigid systems to incorporate their creative approaches. That would mean admitting that our ancient civilizations are inferior to a species that barely discovered fire when we were already traveling between stars, Threen said bitterly. Not inferior, Methak corrected. Different. We have strengths they lack. They have strengths we lack. Together we might achieve things that neither of us could accomplish alone. Vexitar's crystal body had stopped flashing colors and now glowed a steady blue, indicating deep thought. Dr. Methak, in your professional opinion, what would happen if we refuse the human proposal? Based on their advancement rate and innovative capabilities, they would probably surpass all galactic civilizations within 50 years, Methak replied. They would then establish their own interstellar civilization based on their principles of cooperation and innovation. Eventually, they would likely replace the Galactic Council entirely, and if we accept their proposal, we would remain relevant by becoming part of a new type of galactic civilization, one that values contribution over age, innovation over tradition, and cooperation over hierarchy. The vote was closer than anyone expected. In the end, fear of being left behind overcame pride in ancient accomplishments. The Galactic Council voted to negotiate with humanity as equals. But they had no idea that this decision would transform not just their relationship with Earth, but the entire structure of galactic civilization itself. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Council's historic vote to negotiate with humanity as equals. The galaxy was now a very different place, and the changes continued to spread across thousands of star systems. The new joint space station orbited between Earth and Mars, a marvel of combined human and alien engineering. The structure looked like a massive flower made of crystal and metal, with sections designed by each of the 13 civilizations that now made up the reformed Galactic Alliance. Dr. Kim Ji-won walked through the station's central hub, which bustled with activity from dozens of different species. Human engineers worked alongside crystalline Nexans to design new propulsion systems. Aquatic depths dwellers shared research with Korean scientists in specially designed water-air interface laboratories. The quantum resonance efficiency Is up another 12%, reported Park Minho as he joined Ji-won at the central control room. He now served as the station's chief engineering coordinator, managing teams from all member species. Excellent, Ji-won replied, checking the displays that showed real-time data from research projects across the galaxy. As the Alliance's Director of Integrated Sciences, she coordinated research between civilizations that had never shared information before. The transformation had not been easy. Many older species had struggled to adapt to human methods of open collaboration and rapid innovation, but the results spoke for themselves. In 5 years, the Alliance had solved energy crises, improved transportation networks, and developed new technologies that surpassed anything the old Council had achieved in centuries. Captain Lee Soo-young's voice came over the station's communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Lee. The Joint Exploration Fleet is departing for the Andromeda contact mission. This will be our first meeting with civilizations outside our galaxy. Soo-young had been promoted to Admiral after successfully commanding the first mixed-species cruise. Her exploration fleets now included ships designed using the best technologies from all Alliance members, with human innovation providing the creative spark that made each vessel unique. Professor Yoon Jisoo had established the Universal Communication Center on the station. Her work had revolutionized how different species interacted with each other. The new translation protocols did not just convert words between languages, they helped species understand each other's thought patterns and cultural concepts. We have achieved something remarkable, she said to her mixed species research team. Before the Alliance, each civilization was isolated by language and culture. Now we can share not just information, but ideas and emotions across species barriers. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo managed the Resource Optimization Network, which had transformed how the galaxy used its materials and energy. By applying human organizational principles to galactic-scale problems, his team had eliminated resource shortages on dozens of worlds. The old Council operated each world as a separate unit, he explained to new Alliance members. We treat the entire galaxy as one integrated system. When one world has excess energy, we can share it instantly with worlds that need it. When one species discovers new materials, all species benefit immediately. Dr. Kang Tae-hyun led the Advanced Physics Research Division, where human quantum theory merged with alien scientific knowledge to explore the deepest mysteries of the universe. His team had recently discovered how to create stable wormholes for instant transportation across galactic distances. The combination of human creativity and alien precision has opened possibilities we never imagined, he said during a presentation to Alliance leaders. We are not just improving existing technology, we are discovering entirely new laws of physics. The old Council chamber had been transformed into the Alliance Assembly Hall. Instead of 12 species sitting in rigid hierarchy, representatives from over 50 civilizations now participated in discussions as equals. Species that the old Council had dismissed as primitive now contributed valuable insights and innovations. Former Overseer Vextar, now serving as Cultural Integration Advisor, stood before the assembly. His crystal body no longer flashed with stress colors. Instead, it glowed with the steady light of satisfaction and purpose. 5 years ago, we believed that age and tradition were the highest values in civilization, he announced. The humans taught us that innovation and cooperation are equally important. By combining the wisdom of age with the energy of youth, we have created something greater than any of our species achieved alone. Dr. Methak, who had become the Alliance's expert on interspecies development, presented his latest research. Our studies show that every species develops different strengths based on their environment and evolution. Humans excel at creative problem-solving and rapid adaptation. Nexans provide stability and long-term planning. Aquatic species understand fluid dynamics and energy flow. When we combine these strengths instead of ranking them in order of importance, all species benefit. Ambassador Xylith, now Director of Diplomatic Relations, had learned to appreciate human approaches to negotiation and conflict resolution. The humans showed us that competition and cooperation are not opposites, she explained to new species joining the Alliance. Healthy competition drives innovation, while cooperation ensures that everyone benefits from progress. The most dramatic change was in how young civilizations were treated. Instead of being classified as primitive and ignored for centuries, new species were immediately evaluated for their unique capabilities and potential contributions. The Trell species, discovered just 2 years earlier, had been dismissed by old council standards as barely technological. But human analysis revealed that their biological sciences were far ahead of any alliance member. Trell biotechnology was now helping cure diseases across dozens of worlds. The vibrant people from the crystal caves of resonance had technology based on sound and vibration that solved engineering problems the Alliance had struggled with for years. The old council would have classified them as primitive because they did not use metals or electronics. The Alliance recognized their acoustic mastery as an advanced form of physics. Every species sees the universe differently, Dr. Kim Ji-won explained during a conference of Alliance scientists. These different perspectives are not obstacles to overcome. They are resources to celebrate and utilize. The economic changes were equally dramatic. Instead of older species exploiting younger ones for resources and labor, the Alliance operated on principles of mutual benefit and shared prosperity. Worlds that provided raw materials received advanced technology and infrastructure, improvements in return. Trade routes that had remained unchanged for thousands of years were redesigned using human efficiency principles. Transportation times were reduced by 60%, while energy costs dropped by half. Planets that had been isolated for centuries were now connected to galactic networks of commerce and communication. The military had been completely restructured as well. Instead of the old council's approach of maintaining order through superior force, the Alliance focused on cooperation and conflict prevention. Joint defense fleets included ships and crews from multiple species, making it almost impossible for any single civilization to threaten others. General Zarion, the former council military leader, now commanded integrated defense forces that had never been stronger or more effective. Human tactics combined with our technology and experience have created military capabilities beyond anything we achieved under the old system, he reported to the Alliance leadership. More importantly, he continued, the cooperation required for joint operations has eliminated most sources of conflict between species. It is difficult to fight someone you work with every day. But perhaps the most significant change was in how the galaxy thought about progress and development. The old council had believed that advancement meant following a single path from primitive to advanced. The Alliance recognized that there were many different paths to advancement, each valuable in its own way. The Human Integration Protocol had become the standard for welcoming new species. Instead of forcing them to adopt existing galactic standards, new members were encouraged to contribute their unique perspectives and capabilities while learning from others. We do not want every species to become the same, Professor Yoon Ji-soo explained to a gathering of Alliance educators. We want each species to become the best version of themselves while working together toward common goals. As Dr. Kim Ji-won stood in the observation deck of the joint station, watching ships from dozens of species travel between the stars, she reflected on how much had changed. Earth was no longer the primitive world that had been dismissed by an arrogant council. It was the catalyst that had transformed galactic civilization itself. The galaxy is not ruled by the oldest or the strongest anymore, she said to Park Min-ho as he joined her at the observation window. It is guided by those who contribute the most to the common good. And the best part, Min-ho replied, is that we are just getting started. With 53 species working together, imagine what we can accomplish in the next 50 years. The Alliance had proven that intelligence was not about age or tradition or following ancient rules. Intelligence was about creativity, cooperation, and the willingness to learn from others. It was about recognizing that different did not mean inferior, and that the newest voice in the conversation might have the most important thing to say. Humanity had not just joined galactic civilization. They had helped it evolve into something far greater than anyone had ever imagined possible, and across the galaxy, thousands of species were discovering that their greatest strength was not their individual achievements, but their ability to work together toward a future that none of them could have built alone.